ones and twos. And I just come here to let y'all know it's about to get real filthy in this mother.
Mics are on. Welcome to episode 40 of In Todd We Trust. The podcast can now be accessed at itwtpodcast.com for spoiler-free one-sentence reviews and movie ratings, episode descriptions, song of the week playlists, and movie soundtrack playlists. Submission form to be a guest on the show, and then you can hit the links to go listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and watch on YouTube. All on the same day now, which is Thursday. Every Thursday, new episodes going up. So today we have Mr. B, Gerard Baltricitis on the show today. How are you doing today?
Great, Todd. How about you?
I'm doing well. So Mr. B is a natural, I just found out, in broadcasting. He did our intro. It's probably the best intro, as you just heard, since the podcast has been going on. So it's funny, I actually reviewed a movie with Gerard Butler last week. So
oh, really?
yeah,
okay.
so not a common name, so that's a funny coincidence.
Right. Yep.
So Mr. B is actually part of one of my second families. His daughter Maddie is one of my nearest and dearest friends and was on earlier podcast for Captain Marvel. So your goal is to outdo her.
Okay.
Is to outdo her today. So
quite a benchmark then. Okay.
Yeah. She did Captain Marvel, went out to LA and did that with her. And then I got to get back out there and do one with Mel too.
Yeah.
I got to get one with Mel. I'm sure that'll be hilarious. So I got to find the right movie for her next time I'm out there. So you're an avid moviegoer yourself.
I enjoy movies. I can't say I'm a great critic or I know a lot about movies. But I enjoy getting out to the theater.
Yeah. Same with me. I tell people all the time. People ask me my opinion on movies, and obviously I'll give them. But I make it very clear that I'm not a professional and that I don't have like a strong like arts or theater background to make my opinions valid. But it's just I enjoy watching movies. I enjoy talking with my friends and catching up and talking about movies. So that's what kind of spurred this idea. But I remember running into you when we both had Movie Pass.
Oh, geez. It was the greatest invention in the world.
I know. I'm so sad that it's gone. And this would have been a great time for Movie Pass to be going on with me going to the movies every single week now. But yeah, I remember running into you at, what was that, the Arts Theater? Main Arts Theater?
Yeah, Main Arts Theater, downtown Royal Oak. Yep.
Yeah, I love that theater. I love that theater in Imagine. I think Imagine is my favorite theater chain of all time. Those seats... no matter how big the theater is, the seats are always recliner.
Yep. They
have heated seats. It's the best theater. Free popcorn on Tuesday. I mean, I've said all this before on the podcast, but can't say it enough. Free popcorn on Tuesdays if you're a rewards member, which is free. It's
$5
on Tuesdays. Yeah, it's amazing. So while I felt like this movie was a great fit, you currently coach Special Olympic basketball, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So I came out to one of the scrimmages, participated in that. How did that come about?
Kind of a fluke situation. The organization I work for, JVS of Southfield, they're a nonprofit, and I got a mass email that said that, our team is getting together and gearing up for the Special Olympic season, and we're looking at uniforms or something of that sort. And my daughter works for Nike, so I thought, well, maybe we could collaborate in some fashion. And as a result, I responded to the email, and they said, okay, well, we'll keep that in mind. And then it wasn't long after that, I saw another email that said, hey, we need somebody in the organization to step up to be a coach, or we have to disband the team.
Yeah.
And so I was like, geez, I don't consider myself a coach,
right.
But the last thing I want to see happen is to disband our team, our Special Olympics team. So I stepped up, and that was last November, and I got on board, and they fulfilled my $20 million contract. So no, they haven't kicked me aside yet, so that's a good sign. And we've been going strong. We practice once a week, and we're gearing up. Unfortunately, the way the Special Olympics work, they only have their seasons only for about 6 weeks in the winter. So we've been training and getting ready for that.
Okay, nice. No, that's awesome. I mean, to be on the spot like that too, it's like you don't really have a lot of time to think. I'm sure you didn't have weeks to consider. It was like, kind of a split-second decision. I'm going to go on and coach. So,
right.
No, that's awesome. And I'm sure that they really appreciate that, the guys. I mean, everyone seemed to have a lot of fun when I came out there. So I'm sure that's a highlight of their week, going out there. I know like playing sports was the highlight of my week. so growing up and having that type of like I am team. So
yeah, they're a great group. And I think it gives them something to look forward to, to run around and enjoy each other's companionship. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll talk more about here, obviously, with the theme of the movie and Special Olympics. Also, just any type of disability, and it touches on a lot of that in this film. But first, song of the week.
Song of the week. Geez, you caught me on that one, and I was thinking and. I'll be honest. I got to go back, nostalgia.
All right.
I lived in New York City for a short period back in the early '80s.
Okay.
And that was part of the disco era.
Oh,
and
nice.
Back at that point, there was a band I don't think too many people heard about, but they were called D Train. D as in dog. D Train. And the song they have is one called "Keep On." Just 2 words. Keep on. And had a great rhythm and beat to it, and I always enjoyed it. But at the same time, I've never been one for lyrics, and more recently, I started listening to the lyrics, and it's very inspirational. And it's all about never giving up and keep on pushing on and getting through difficulties and challenges. So yeah, it's one of my favorite songs.
Awesome. Okay, I'm definitely about to go check that out. I actually went to a disco bar in Chicago 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they had the like light up floor and the disco ball and everything.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's actually funny. And it wasn't my first time going to that bar, but they have like 4 floors at this bar. It's called Celeste, and that's my first time going to the disco floor. So so that was my first disco experience. Was 2 weeks ago. So
I'll have to keep that in mind because there aren't too many throwback discos in the city.
No, not at all. So that is it's a really popular bar there. But like I said, I lived in Chicago. Never went when I lived there, and then like I said, visited 2 weeks ago and went. But my song of the week is "Peach" by Broods. Great pump up song. It's like higher energy song. Came out last year. I just discovered this band recently though, and this their album. Don't Feed the Pop Monster, I believe the name of it is. Really good album, came out this year. So go check that out if you want a pump up. For me, I like having like a lot of songs that are like high energy that either I put on when I'm dancing around my apartment, like cleaning my apartment, have the headphones on or have it on the speakers, or 2, driving in my car with the windows down. It's summertime and just have the music blasting. So next segment we have is random rapid fire. So I have a handful of questions here for you. No prep. Are you ready?
Okay, fire away.
Here we go. So as a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Football player.
Football player. All right. What would your wrestler name be if you're a wrestler?
Bubba.
That's I don't know if that's a very intimidating name, but it's a very friendly name.
Yeah.
You probably have a lot of fans. So Bubba, what would your signature move be?
Headlock, maybe?
Headlock, yeah. No, that's always a good one. Put them to sleep.
Yeah.
Would you fight The Rock for $1 million?
For $1 million, yeah, because I gotta imagine the medical bill shouldn't exceed $1 million.
Yeah, I'm about to say it would only be like maybe 900,000. So then you still come off with 100,000.
Right.
It's not a bad payday.
Net profit.
Yeah. Would you go face paint or no face paint?
Yeah, probably face paint.
I feel like it's a necessity.
Yeah, definitely.
Unless you're a luchador and you have the mask already. If you're an American wrestler, you kind of need the face paint. What would your wrestler colors be?
Jeez. Probably Spartan green and white.
There we go. There we go.
Because actually the name Bubba comes from Bubba Smith, who
Ah.
played for the Michigan State Spartans.
There you go. Legend. Retired
Yes.
number. All right. I like that. When you go to the theater, what is your go-to slushy flavor?
Cherry.
Nice.
Yep.
If you had to rewatch the same movie for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Geez, I've seen it probably over a dozen times now, and I could probably still keep watching it. That's Remember the Titans.
Yep, classic. All right, so before we get into the movie here, I was just chatting with you before. I am becoming an Orange Theory coach. Yeah. So in the process for that now, I actually had a class this morning. I didn't teach it. I was just participating. I was super tired. After that class, I need to refuel. Have you ever done Orange Theory before?
No.
I know you run.
Yeah, I need to. That they just opened one up a few months ago in town, and I have to get over. I'm actually a little afraid because from what I've seen and heard, I don't. You know, my wife doesn't want to be visiting me in the ER room. So, yeah.
I promise you can do it. You know, I know you're pretty active in running. You're not running a crazy amount, and it's kind of at your own pace, at your own leisure. Gotcha. How they do it. So you're really just focused in on your numbers. So it's a really cool concept. But yeah, I would say check it out again. I know, because there's that one in Royal Oak. That's not too far. I actually went and worked out that one last week. Today I went to the one in Grosse Pointe. Okay. They recently put one there, and they're actually putting one in Detroit now. They're putting one on Woodward in New Center, right across from the chain station in New Center. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's coming here in the next couple months. So they're blowing up. But yeah, I actually. Also, real quick, anyone who is in Florida, be safe. If you're evacuating Florida, be safe. I actually just left there, and luckily, my plane didn't have too much turbulence with the winds from the Hurricane Dorian. So my parents are pretty inland there in Tallahassee. So. But anyone on that East Coast, be safe.
Yeah.
Spartans got a dub this weekend, so that's huge.
Yes.
I had to throw that out there. Great start to the season, so we are undefeated right now. When I was in the theater, Joker. I've mentioned this before on here. I'm excited about Joker. I've said it a couple times, but I just keep getting more pumped. They're the first wave of feedback and criticism. Has come back, and it's all stuff. It's a lot of high praise for Joker, so I'm excited. I'm even more excited about it. How do you feel about Joker, and then two, about movies that have the villain's perspective or plays that have the villain's perspective?
It's interesting, because I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I saw the trailer for Joker, and it looks really intriguing. But I kept looking at the trailer thinking, well, how are they going to play this out? It's not like a superhero movie where this person comes out and say. So how do they play it? I'm just a little perplexed.
Right.
So it'll be interesting. I'll have to view it and get educated, I guess.
Yeah. They always. It's kind of like, when you see these type of movies, like whether it's this or Venom or classic Wicked on and play form on Broadway, which is probably my favorite play that I've been to. They kind of go the route of like the villain's just misunderstood, as opposed to they're not really a villain, they're just misunderstood, and this is how they became, a villain. So it's interesting. So again, this is no different. I'm interested to see how it goes. Did you see the trailer for Judy, the Judy Garland film?
Yes, just saw that. Yeah, and that was interesting as well because I knew there was some drama behind it, but again, they seem to bring to life more of the personal components of her life that I wasn't aware of. So that'll be interesting as well. Yeah,
and I know it's before my time, but I'm a huge fan of Wizard of Oz. Like that's one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah. So I want to see it for really that reason, and just kind of like you said, intrigue. It seems like there's a lot of facets to her life that I wasn't aware of. Yeah. So I'm just interested. Renee Zellweger, her voice, it gets to me after a while. She has a kind of a different voice. But I do like her, so I'm interested to see how she plays the role as well. But yeah, so with this movie, this actually made me think about. So the movie, obviously is about this young boy he's 22, I believe, in the movie, who has Down syndrome, who leaves his care center, and he was actually at a care center for the elderly, but the state didn't have any other place to put him, so this is where he was at, and he goes and pursues his dream of being a wrestler. Made me think back of a time I had in Vegas. So prior or right after college, I had an internship in Vegas, and there's a place called Opportunity Village there. So Opportunity Village is just in Las Vegas. They have 4 campuses, and it's for people with intellectual or related disabilities. So that's whether you're born with it, like Down syndrome, or if you got into a car crash and then had brain damage, things like that. So the person who actually, one of the guys who started it, his daughter had got hit by a drunk driver and sustained brain damage, and then so it's a very horrible story, but obviously something great came out of it. In this, at least something good came out of it. This idea came and to help a lot of different people who had suffered from similar ailments. So anyway, they have these campuses, and they're really set up like small college campuses where there's like fine arts, there's sports, and there's also jobs. So they bring these people in, and some people need full care, and then some people just come in for the day and things like that. But where they can get acclimated and do these things, so they'll have like the Fine Arts Center, they might bring like Lady Gaga in to come, and like they can perform with her. Wow. And they'll do really cool stuff like that, or they'll do things like teach them how to paint, or you'll have like classic musicians come in and teach them things. Or on the job side, they'll get them jobs that they're applicable to their like skill set. So if all you can do is put soap into a bar of soap into a carton, then you'll have a job with like, I think they partner with I think it's Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, and they do all the like packaging for like the toiletries and stuff that go into the bathrooms. So it's like, hey, we're not gonna just throw you off to the side, we're gonna find something that fits to what you're able to do. So really, really cool concept in Vegas. But anyway, when I worked out there, I worked for the Las Vegas Bowl, and for pretty much any college bowl game, there's a philanthropical aspect to it, to where the players one day of the week when they come there, they go and do something, whether it's going to the Children's Hospital or going to do something like this, some type of charity work. So for the Las Vegas Bowl, they go to Opportunity Village, spend the day there. All the kids love it, all the people love it that are there. So it's just really cool, and it's really just humbling for them to go and see and say, wow, look at how blessed I am, the fact that I'm able to play sports and things like that, and not everyone's able to do that. So it's just a really great experience. But anyway, when I went there, I went to the art center, and I really like this painting that guy was working on. So it actually happens to be the oldest. This is back in 2016, but at the time, the oldest living person with Down syndrome in the country, and possibly the hemisphere, but definitely for the United States.
Wow!
So he was painting, really liked this painting. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna go on and like, how much is it? Like, I love to buy it. So so they go back, and now mind you, I'm out there, I'm making $13 an hour, like part time. Like I just left college, so I had like no money, and I'm expecting it to like not be like exceed like maybe $50 or something like that. They come back, they're like, hey, it's $250, and I was like, oh, like $250? They're like, yeah. So they're like, do you want to do like cash or credit? And I was like, oh my god, like I can't afford that.
He stepped into it.
But I already stepped into it, so I was like, and they had already told him like, hey, like someone's buying your painting, and the way they do it is whatever you pay for the painting, then a portion of that that's his pay for the day. Wow. So half of that goes to. So they already told him that someone's buying his painting. So I was like, I have to get it. Like I have to make it work. So I was like, okay, here, just take my card. So, and I still have it hanging up in my apartment today. It's like the only painting I have. But yeah. So that was just a cool, cool experience.
Backstory.
Yeah. But yeah, that was hilarious. I just, it's just a funny story of just how like, I stepped into it. I'm like, oh my god, I don't have $250 to just like send out like that. I would love to buy the painting, but ended up getting it anyway and making it work. So thought about that with this film. But anyway, like I mentioned before, background for the film is, the IMDb description is Zach runs away from his care home to make his dream of becoming a wrestler true. It was released August 23rd. Notable cast for the film. You have Zach Gottsagen, I believe I'm saying his name correctly, who is Zach in the movie. Shia LaBeouf, Dakota Johnson, Thomas Hayden Church, John Bernthal, and Yellow Wolf. So a lot of people in this film. Shia LaBeouf, I'm really pumped to see him make a return back to the big screen. Huge Shia LaBeouf fan. I feel like anyone who grew up in like my generation watching Even Stevens on Disney Channel, you have a soft spot for Shia LaBeouf. Writer and directors for this film, Tyler Nilson and Michael Schwartz. This is really their first big writing or directing credits. Runtime for the film, 1 hour and 37 minutes. So before seeing the movie, the preview really drew me in. I was kind of torn on just kind of what film I wanted to review for this week. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, and was looking at what was coming out, and this one really drew me in. Again, love seeing Shia LaBeouf back in action. Knew it was going to be a feel-good, heartfelt type of movie. And I honestly, looking at this, I wondered, and I still wonder, how many Down syndrome actors there are. And the much more inspiring story for this movie for me was the actor's story. So the actor who actually played Zach in the film, I read a little bit up on his personal story. He, had to go through a ton to be a Down syndrome actor. He's like 30 something years old and just talking about some of the different struggles he went through. And I was just like, wow, that's really inspiring. Cause not many people would assume that he would be able to reach this. And I'm just sure so many people, there's so many different prejudices that are out there in general. So I can only imagine the type of obstacles he had to go through, again, to see in some of this film and, kind of putting yourself in that person's shoes and seeing some of the obstacles they had to go through. So yeah, I thought that was really inspiring. What did you think going into the movie?
Going into the movie, it was a sleeper for me because I've seen previews on different movies. Nothing. I'm thinking, boy, till the fall, there's probably not much going on.
Right.
And then you mentioned this, and I did a quick research on it and said, wow,
yeah,
isn't that a shame? This looks like a great flick.
Yeah.
And it's not getting any press, any media attention or anything. And yeah, so I was actually kind of excited about getting to the theater and checking it out because it just blew it off the charts on Rotten Tomatoes and the other tomato critics or other ratings that they had. So I was like, wow, let's see if it's for real. And it came through. It came through. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good movie. So the idea that he was like kind of thrown away and forgotten, that's really heartbreaking because it's real. I think that happens a lot with not just Down syndrome, but with people with disabilities where their family, whether it's a lack of patience to be able to provide and care for them properly, or just being heartless or whatever the case may be, and they get put into the system and they're kind of left in the government's hands. So that was kind of heartbreaking to see. And then him being in an elderly care facility, I thought that the relationships he had in there were really funny. They added a lot of comedy in this, which was awesome. It wasn't just like a serious film, and I thought it was a lot of humor from the start to when he's like trying to escape.
Right.
And he looped in the older lady with him to like kind of be his co-conspirator.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. So I thought that was really good. Him not being able to leave, really, not because they were trying to punish him or anything, but Eleanor, who is his kind of primary caretaker, volunteer at the facility, really did care about him, but just didn't know the best way to care for him as well as all the other people that she was looking over. So
exactly, yeah.
So I think that's tough.
Yeah, it's a tough predicament, and like I say, they really gave a positive light of what could come of it if you give individuals an opportunity. And that, they can thrive and they do want to have a fulfilling life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think that's, obviously with this, it's specifically talking about someone with Down syndrome, but I think with any person, it's similar to a movie I reviewed a couple weeks ago, Where'd You Go, Bernadette? I think if you put anyone in a situation where they don't have an opportunity to do what they're like meant to do, or display their specific abilities or talents, then they're gonna seem inept. Like anyone will seem inept or unable to do something if they're confined and not really given the resources to like showcase what they can do. So again, I think that on both sides, Eleanor and Tyler, the two people who really cared about him in the movie, they had different approaches, but they both came from a great place, and it was great to see them kind of come together and compromise on like, hey, this is how we can best help Zach, reach what his true potential. So they both cared, but both had different approaches, pros and cons to both. But that was good. I thought it was crazy. So the repeated use of the R word in this movie, I thought that was interesting because I didn't realize. I guess part of me didn't realize how much of an issue that still was.
Okay.
Because to me, it feels like something that you got educated on. And it was like, all right, you don't do it anymore. Like I feel like with any offensive language or any offensive action, anything, you once you learn the right way, you don't do it anymore. Now, up until then, if you're ignorant on it and you just don't know better, whatever. If a kid, doesn't know better, says it, and you're like, hey, you correct them on it, then it stops there. So I thought it was just crazy to see, like, wow, there's still people out there who are just ignorant and just hurtful.
Right. Yeah, I think ignorance is, one of the drawbacks in society in general. People don't want to hurt lots of people in different ways, but they're just so ignorant to facts and what's right, and so limited in their perspective that it happens. So, yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting. It was kind of crazy to see, and I don't know if it's for the movie, if they placed it in the Deep South for a reason, for that. But yeah, it was just that was, really got to me. Zach, I did like how in this movie though, Zach wasn't a victim. So Zach never really questioned himself. From the start to the finish, he had a dream. He was determined.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. He had self-confidence, and he was focused, and like you say, he never quite doubted himself that, oh, geez, woe is me. And he didn't have any pity on himself.
No.
And that's what kept him going.
Yeah. I thought that was great, and I think that probably speaks to, if I had to guess, the actual actor. Obviously, there's probably tons of people who told him he couldn't be an actor. And then, here he is. So I'm sure that probably he pulled from a lot of that to portray this role. Because I thought that was just great that he never, even at the end when it seemed as though what was his name, saltwater
redneck.
Saltwater redneck.
Right.
So even at that point when it seemed like all was lost and that he was he retired, and it was kind of like, well, we're just kind of give up on the mission of meeting him and learning wrestling. He was even like, no, like he's out there, like he never doubted at any point. He never had any doubt. When he went up into the the ring, he had some fear and some drawback.
Right.
There, which is just natural. You get butterflies, you're about to do something, but besides that point, he was always down. So I love the humor in this movie. His attempted escape was hilarious. His rule number 1 to party, that line, hilarious. But yeah, do you have you worked with any people with Down syndrome or any type of disabilities, intellectual disabilities, prior to doing the Special Olympics, or was that kind of your first?
At that level, yes, because in the past I've had different classes, whether in high school or college, where we make a visit and spend some time with individuals that they had disabilities, but not on an extensive basis. Mm-hmm. Where I was in charge of running a program or facilitating exercises for them or anything like that. So yeah.
How heavily involved are the parents?
For me, it's difficult to say because they're brought to the gym. I meet them at the gym, and then we, go through practices and so on. So, and then they're returned where their parents pick them up at our location. But I think, as you saw, where we had the scrimmage, there were lots of people participating, and those were friends, co-workers, as well as family members. Mm-hmm. And I know I've had a couple of parents reach out to me personally and thank me, which is ludicrous because the blessing's mine. They're just parents. I think are very special because I think for especially my group to be playing the way they are, they have to have parental guidance and support. Mm-hmm. So to those individuals, it's I'm sure real trying for them, and they're special people.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's what made me ask. Because I remember when we came, by the time we were done, it was tons of people around the basketball court, there to support, which was awesome. Just made it, that kind of makes it for them. Yeah. So that's awesome. The baptism scene was really funny. That was funny. You have a blind guy, and obviously a lot of metaphors there with, you have the blind guy who's still able to kind of understand and kind of see through them a bit. And he made the comment, you all are just sheep that wandered off from your shepherd. And with Zach, it was kind of literal. Like he literally, left his care facility, literally left, Eleanor, but with Tyler, obviously Tyler was, kind of running away from some guilt, as we saw throughout the film. He was running from the fisherman who he stole from. That, and then also, kind of running from this idea that he was a bad guy. You know, he made that comment to Zach asking, you know, hey, do you think I'm a bad guy or a good guy, or, you know, a bad heart or a good heart? You know, so you can tell that that's something he was kind of struggling with, which we saw, you know, why he kind of blamed himself for his brother's death. You know, he was drunk driving, so which is I can't stand, you know, drunk driving. Like, I have no respect for people who do drunk drive, because it's not even about yourself, but the danger you put other people in. So that, you know, that really upsets me. But again, you know, no one's beyond being forgiven and, you know, kind of changing your life around. So it looks like he's on that path, you know, as we saw as it got towards the end, you know, he kind of atoned for his sins a bit there, getting knocked over the head.
Right.
But you know, looked like he's kind of on the right path. So I don't know if they likely won't do a sequel. It doesn't seem like the type of film where they'd have a sequel, but I would love to kind of see a follow-up of how things ended up going to Florida.
Right, exactly. And as you mentioned that, it's kind of, there's a little irony in there, you know, because you look at it as Tyler being the person that's helping Zach out and letting him escape and get to, you know, but in reflection, you know, it's actually Zach that's helping Tyler through this period in his
100%.
life where, you know, he's going through the trauma of losing his brother because of something he may have done, and how he envisions himself as the bad guy, as you say, and the low self-esteem, and how, you know, and I think it just mirrors, you know, it's a personal belief of mine that you can only help yourself by helping others. Yeah. And this is a great play out on that from the standpoint of Tyler opens himself up, and instead of being selfish, he said, okay, I'm going to help this Zach guy and get him at least a little bit down the road or whatever. Yeah. And in the process, Tyler's the one that's the winner in the long run.
Absolutely, yeah. He definitely needed Zach more, and again, that's a good point of, you know, you look at it and, you know, you would assume that Zach would be the one with low self-esteem. Zach would be the one struggling with direction in his life and things like that. And Zach knew what he wanted. Zach was focused, he had a goal, and he didn't doubt himself. Whereas Tyler's the one who really was, you know, doubting himself and didn't have a lot of self-esteem, didn't really have a lot of life direction. So you're right. No, I think that was the kind of the underlying, and then ended up being kind of the main theme of the movie once you got to the end, and you see that, Tyler was the one that needed Zach. I thought, so funny part of it is when they're about to go to fight, and like I mentioned before, where Zach kind of has some hesitation when he's about to get into the ring. So when they show up, obviously the guys, like, you know, the guys in the ring are like bloody, and they're like, oh, this is like actual wrestling, not just kind of what you see on TV, you know, some kind of backyard wrestling. And it made me think of a funny time. So freshman year, myself, my friend Kristen, and my friend Katie all went to MMA club at Michigan State. So we went to the first MMA club meeting, and for whatever reason, we thought it was going to be learning MMA. We didn't realize that was for intermediate or advanced MMA fighters already. Oh. So when we go in, we're warming up, and we kind of get a gist for it. So they go in and they say, hey guys, we have bleach over there in the corner to like clean off the mats. After you're done, try not to get too much blood on the mats. Find a sparring partner. So they're like, we're gonna take a water break and let's find a sparring partner. So obviously they had each other. So if we were to keep going with it, they could have just like kind of played around and not. But I didn't have one, so I was gonna have to find someone random who probably would have been trying to fight me, really. So we went for the water break and then just ran out. So we just left. So
smart move.
Oh man,
there is a reason you're here today,
right? So I thought about that when I saw his face when he saw the blood up there. It made me immediately think of freshman year. My face when they said that we'd be sparring and not to try to get too much blood on the mat. So so that is, and we still laugh about that today when we went there. But that was really funny. This movie, like I said, again, had a lot of humor, but had a lot of moments too where, you know, kind of some tearjerkers. I didn't cry in this one. I would tell you if I did, but you know, just kind of some parts like when he was teaching him how to swim. In the water. Zach didn't know how to swim. Tyler was kind of taking him through it. And you kind of see, again, Tyler starting to open up a bit more. He was trying to be kind of the tough guy and kind of closed off. And then you kind of see their bond kind of created over time. So I thought that part was really endearing. The moment with Saltwater when he kind of pulls up in the car and comes out of retirement, so to speak. That part, and them just kind of going through wrestling, that part was really awesome. The Falcon cardboard costume, I want one of those.
That's going to be the biggest costume of the year at come Halloween,
right? Oh my gosh, I need to get one of those, man. I mean, it takes you back to being like a kid, and kind of taking like random boxes and I moved a lot. I moved to a lot of different houses as a kid, so it just makes me think about when you take the cardboard boxes afterwards, you try to create something with it, whether it's like fort or something like that. So that's actually a lot of fun. And then I think the best scene in the entire movie, the atomic throw. The throw when he picks him up, and he's and previously they're like, no one can do that.
Yeah, this can't be done. We faked it. And,
man, that was the best thing. And he threw him out the ring. That was the best. That was the best moment. I was cracking up in the theater. I audibly started laughing in the theater, and I like looked over to see if the person next to me was like looking at me funny, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop laughing. That was hilarious. Who's your favorite character in the movie?
Geez, I don't know. You love Zach for who he is, but you become attached to Tyler and Eleanor, how they bond. So maybe it's it's a cheap answer, but all three of them. The trilogy, the way the three of them came together, and you see them as a whole by the end of the movie. As they all started out on their own paths, but they came together and blended to become something special.
I really liked. Again, I think I would agree with you. I think all three of them. You kind of obviously you start with Zach, and that's kind of the easy answer. But you do end up liking, come to really appreciate each person for who they are. Again, I love how Zach didn't really put. He didn't put limits on himself. He didn't allow people to stop who he was. Again, like I said, drawing a lot from the actual actor in real life. And then Tyler, how can you be a thief that can't fight? That was the part that got me. You can't steal and then you can't defend yourself. Right? You gotta be ready for the repercussions of being a thief. He was the greatest hype man of all time. So he through and through, man. He was there supporting Zach, and when he went into the ring and everyone was kind of looking like, what in the world is happening? He was hyping him up, man, even until when he got his head cracked in. So that was awesome. But just dealing with I can only imagine dealing with that guilt. I don't know how I would feel. If you feel responsible, which you are. If you're drunk driving and you have your brother in the car and he ends up dying because of a crash, and they didn't go too much into it. They just gave us a glimpse of it.
Right.
But that would be tough. That would be tough to come back from. So I thought that was just interesting to see, again, it would be kind of cool to see if they came up with a second movie. Again, I don't think that's the type of film. It's kind of an indie film and, kind of one off probably, but we'll see.
They did a great job. I think I was looking at it and their budget was $6.6 million or something. And
really?
Yeah. And, I'm sure they've almost tripled that already in just the first week or two. It would be great to see a follow-up to that, and just a little iota on, you were mentioning Zach and how he was found in California, and I guess the story I have is that he was at a camp for disabled actors in 2011.
Really?
When the directors found him, and the camp was in a place called Venice, California. And I just got to throw that out for my daughter.
Yeah, shout out, Maddie.
That's right. Yeah,
really? Wow. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yep.
He was in a camp. Okay, got it. He was in a camp.
Yeah, and that's where they discovered him. And then it said they had to put a proof of concept video together a little later. He put that together. It cost him a little bit of money, but it worked out well. And then they pulled the entire project together, I think, June of 17.
I like the Nike polo, too. I like that polo a lot.
Well, that's a good...
I can't stop. I can't stop but wear Nike. Oh my gosh, do I wear it? There's some article of Nike on my body probably at all times. But that's it's crazy. And again, just kind of going back to everyone has their own gifts and talents, and unfortunately, some people never find out what that is. But you can't put limits on people. Like I think like we have a definition in society or in general of like what intelligence is, or like if you have a certain IQ score and things like that. And I think that, everyone probably has maybe not everyone, but a lot of people have a very genius level intellect for a specific thing. Right. So a lot of times when you talk about someone who's a genius, it's based off of certain categories, like whether it's like math or science or, some of the different, I don't know, maybe writing, maybe someone's a really great writer, they're really articulate, so then they're looked at as being very intelligent. But what about the kid who, has ADHD, so some of those things he can't focus on, but they're amazing at. They can see something and draw it from memory. That has to be some type of high intellect to be able to process that type of information and then put it back out in that way. It's just their own way of putting it back out. But it's just very. Or someone with autism who has issues socially, whose social EQ maybe not be the greatest, but they can play the piano. They can hear a song and play, repeat it on the piano like that without any practice. So there has to be something said for that, type of intelligence. So I think the same thing with Zach. And when I say Zach, I mean the actual actor in real life, right? So him being able to act the way, like he did an amazing acting job in this movie. Not just acting for someone with Down syndrome, period. A great actor. And that's something that a lot of people can't do. You can't tap into that, right? So where a lot of people would count him out. There's probably a ton of people who have counted him out throughout his life. But him just having the focus, and again, similar to the character in the movie, just going and going and going, right? Like I couldn't act like that,
Right,
So,
right.
So yeah, everyone has their own gifts and talents. So, just kind of figuring out and finding out what that is, and being patient enough to find that out. Because that's tough. Some people find it out at 5, and there's people who have, Tiger Woods. He was golfing since he was 2 or 3.
Right.
So he knew early. There's other people who don't start acting until Zach's 30 something, right? And this is probably his biggest film to date, his biggest project.
Yeah.
He's 30 something years old and finds it out. So it just it takes time. So.
Well, yeah, it's funny you mention that because that's my life. As a career counselor, that's what I deal with.
Yeah.
And I help a lot of baby boomers reinvent themselves to realize that what you did in the past isn't really your true potential all the time.
Yeah.
And if you look, because it's along my line of work, I look at a lot of successful people, whether it's Richard Branson or Gary Vaynerchuk or Elon Musk, and there's tons and tons of successful millionaires and billionaires out there that are dyslexic, have ADD, etc. The guy from JetBlue, the CEO, he had ADD. His wife helped him in that. But I mean, it didn't stop them from succeeding at tremendous levels. And like you say, we all have potential. It's just a matter of finding that magic door.
Yeah. So I try to do a bunch of random stuff, man. I just try to get involved in a lot of different things, and it kind of comes together. And then also, there might be multiple things. Maybe I'm really good at 5 things or 6 things. So who knows? So try to just get involved as much as I can, and have time for it. There's limited time in a day, but if you care about it, you make time for it.
Yep.
So it's good. Tyler made me realize that I need to step my game up, because the fact that he was able to woo Eleanor, and off of basically a week of not showering and just kind of not having any stable job, I was like, "There's no way."
I was going to say, what's the secret sauce here?
Yeah.
I'm older, but I'm looking at her thinking, man, she's not ugly.
Yeah.
I'm looking at him like, my gosh, there's homeless people that literally, present themselves better than he did.
Yes.
And how that worked.
I don't know how he pulled that off, but it definitely made me realize that I need to step my game up if Tyler's doing that. So I was like, come on, Eleanor. I was judging her. It got to a point where I was judging her like, come on. What do you have going on in your life to where this is what you've come to?
Right.
Tyler's we've come to love Tyler as a character, but he still needs to get a lot of things in order for his life before he can even think about approaching an Eleanor. And I like her as an actress as well. I like her as an actress. And again, her approach as a character, you really have to care about someone to continuously try to help them, even if they try to resist your help or they make it difficult. Obviously, she's volunteering and just trying to do her best job. She doesn't really know how to help him. She doesn't know what to do. She's not trying to cage him in. She really does care for him. But that has to be frustrating, just figure out, like, how do I best care for him? This is not even where he's supposed to be, but this is the best I can do. Right. And again, to go out and seek after him, right? Like she's volunteering. So she has nothing to lose if, he goes off and whatever happens to him. But she sets out to really find him, and then, again, he throws her keys out, and, she's still there for him. That would be the final straw for me. You throw my keys and I'm stuck somewhere, I'm not helping you anymore. So, I thought that was great.
Just a little showing of how when you extend yourself and you go the extra mile or whatever it takes.
Yeah.
For people, that it usually comes back and pays itself in spades, because both Tyler as well as Eleanor extended themselves to Zach, which they didn't have to do.
Right.
They went above and beyond, and as a result, they both grew and gained from that as well.
Yeah, exactly. For people with special needs, it's crazy just to see, again, with this movie, how people can be so cruel. For me, it just really highlighted the discrimination amongst that community that, really that I hadn't thought of. It's not at the top of mind, I should say. Not hadn't thought of ever, but it's not at the top of mind. And I think it's always nice to, I shouldn't say nice, but it's good and necessary to see that and put yourself in someone else's shoes and just be like, let's see what someone else is going through. Because obviously, like with them, the first step to having empathy is educating yourself on, how people of different walks of life, what they're going through. So I thought that this film was an important film. They shed light on some of this stuff. So obviously, you work with people with special needs with a myriad of things going on. For the Special Olympics, what would you think are some things that are most important to keep in mind when you're going in that type of field or volunteering in that aspect?
Well, like you say, empathy is a key and critical part, and I think for me, I found out is that I hate to use the word special, but to me it is special that these people are in many facets lacking.
Yeah.
And what I mean by lacking, I mean that's what makes them special. They're lacking, I've seen, in hatred.
Yeah.
They're lacking in being judgmental. They're lacking a lot of the problems with the world. They're lacking, and to me, that's what makes them so special. It's a great time of the week for me to spend a couple hours with them, because if you work or talk to anybody else that worked with these people, it's special because they take you they transcend you to a different area from the standpoint they're enjoying themselves. They're non-judgmental. They're constantly helping each other. When I've played on lots of sports teams, and in the back of your mind, I got to beat this guy out. I've got to do better than this. I hope that person stumbles, whatever.
Right.
And I've seen so many times them extend themselves for each other and do such unselfish acts.
Yeah.
So to me, they are lacking, but in all the negative characteristics that the world brings to the table.
Yeah.
So to me, that's why they're special.
Yeah, that's very nicely said. And yeah, when you say special, that always feels kind of like, there should probably be a different way. It's really unique. It's unique needs, so it's just different than the needs of maybe you or I, but it's not special. It's not, that almost has a negative connotation now, where it's like lesser than, and it's like, no, it's not.
No,
it's different.
It's special because if anything, it's better.
It's better, right? Yeah. Exactly, because you're not bogged down with the, again, some of those things like you said, where we naturally, we learn to, you learn to kind of be corrupt in a way over time.
Exactly.
Which brings me to my next question, which is a very, very tough one. That when they were talking about, having a good guy heart or a bad guy heart, do you think that people are born good or born bad or neither?
Or
if there are bad, or if there's such thing as bad or good people?
Yeah. Again, I'm totally not knowledgeable on this, but my take is there's a very elite percentage, very small percentage, thank God, that it's lack of a better term, just evil.
Yeah.
Mass murders and so on, they're proving that. It wasn't, they had a difficult child, whatever. It's just something genetically that it's evil.
Yeah.
Evil. But to me, my belief has always been, and my children maybe have heard it as well, that, out of the womb, there's perfection. Mm-hmm. And I hate to use the word corruption, but as people go on and things happen to them in life, maybe they, bad things, and now they're not as perfect as they can be. To me, though, the majority of all people come out come out good, come out positive, come out perfect.
Yeah.
And sometimes the world changes that.
Yeah, and I think that does happen. I think it is a lot about it is nurture versus nature. I guess really, is it how you're raised? Is it the environment you're in? Is it
your genetics?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it is hard to kind of determine that, and then what is good, what is bad. But I thought that was just an interesting quote from the movie.
Right.
But all in all, I thought that the movie was was really good. Really happy Tyler didn't die. We had a scare there at the end, and they kind of held you in suspense.
Yeah.
Glad that he didn't die. Solid film that you can take your fam to. There's a lot of families in the theater with me last night when I went and saw it. I thought I was going to sneak in for a late Sunday film, and it was going to be just me in there, and it was packed.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see. And it was cool. I sat next to a mom, her son, and then the father was on the other side, and the kid was probably he wasn't older than 5. He couldn't have been older than 5. And just hearing him ask, say certain things or ask certain questions throughout, and his dad kind of explaining it to him, that was really cute and cool, because that's where it starts. It starts empathy and just again educating your kids. It starts at that age. There's so many things that I remember that my parents or probably adults probably thought I'd forget, but it's a lot of valuable lessons that they said to me when I was 5 or 6, 7 years old that I still remember. I don't remember everything, but a lot of it starts there. And then just watching too how you treat people. That's more than anything, is watching how my parents or grandparents or friends or mentors, how they acted or treated people in different situations. That's the stuff you remember more than what they told you. So it turns you into who you are. So again, thought that was a good good thing to see. Really inspiring story. Again, giving you a glimpse into the discrimination of different groups of people, which I think is always good to just see that and then be aware. And then
like you say, that's part of the educational component, where you don't know it, and there's nothing you can do about it. But seeing it and understanding it, now you can take action to rectify it.
Exactly. So do better if you see this. We definitely need more empathy from people. And then love the fact that it didn't make Zach the victim. I love that he wasn't the victim. If anything, like you said, Tyler was the victim, who needed to be saved. So I love that. And it wasn't, he never felt dejected or lost faith in himself. So really like that aspect of the film. What would you give this on a scale of 1 to 10?
1 to 10, probably good solid, maybe 8.5.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, when I give this rating, I'm a really tough rater, but I really like the movie, so I gave it a 6.3. What happened is, for people hearing this, again, I hope that you go check my other ratings on my website so that you know what a 6.3 is. It's still very, very highly acclaimed. I haven't given I only given 110 out. So, but yes, this is a good movie. Go check it out. And what would you say for someone to go see this? Should they go view it opening night, $5 Tuesday, Netflix, or don't watch it all?
No, it's worth full price to me. To me, it was. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. So I'm an avid $5 Tuesday goer, but I did pay full price yesterday to go see it. It was definitely worth it. Definitely worth the full price. So go check it out. Yeah, still in theaters. Yeah. Go see it. It's not in every theater. I know it's an indie film, so you kind of got to check and see. You got to be quick about it, because it probably won't be in theaters long. But it is definitely a sleeper pick that it's not going to get a lot of pub. So yeah, upcoming movies. What you excited to see?
Oh my gosh, 2 I'm real excited about.
Okay.
One is comes out I think November 1st, but I guess I'm going to wait till November 27th. Netflix. Got any idea what that might be?
November 1st. I don't know. November.
Very limited engagement, very few theaters, November 1st. And they're re-releasing it November 27th because Netflix will have it. And movie's called The Irishman.
Got it.
Scorsese teams up with De Niro, Pacino, and Joe Pesci. And it's a story, especially if you're from this area. Jimmy Hoffa disappeared down the road here about 10-15 miles back in the late 70s, and it's that story. There's a book out by a guy, I guess he calls himself the Irishman. He's in the state penitentiary now, but he wrote a book, and he said he did the hit on Jimmy Hoffa, and it's the story about that. Now, the part of the controversy with the movie is that it limited engagements because, of course, there's still that battle between Hollywood and Netflix now.
Yeah, yep.
that started. But the other part is Scorsese saying, well, I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. As a result, it's 3 hours and 30 minutes long.
Wow.
Yeah, so I can watch it on Netflix where I can get up every hour and a half
Right.
if I need to. I don't know how I could do that in a theater.
3:30 in a theater is that's a long time in a theater. Like I said, Imagine makes it easier because of the seats, but even still, I need some snacks. I need to hydrate. I need to use the restroom.
Yeah,
that's a tough one because that's a tough one.
Yeah, so
I'm excited about that though. That's a loaded lineup. I don't know if those. Just going through real quick in the database in my head, I don't know if those all three have been in a movie together.
I think this is the first time.
Yeah, because there's been like two movies together. There's a ton of those, whether it's Goodfellas or Casino, but I don't know if all three.
Right.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay,
so that'll
nice.
be good. That, and again, since I'm from the area here, it's big for us. A movie called Ford versus Ferrari. Matt Damon and Christian Bale, and story, I guess it was in the late 60s. What happened is Ferrari ruled the Grand Prix circuit, or the Le Mans circuit, and Ford was an automotive manufacturer.
Yeah.
And Henry Ford II said, well, we're going after it. We're going to make it happen. And how it was like a moonshot. There's no way, there's no chance. And how they pulled off the impossible. So
interesting.
Yeah, it looks like they've got a good budget, so they did it well. And I think that comes out in November as well.
Got it. Didn't hear that. Okay.
How about you? What are you looking forward to?
For me, so I had mentioned before Judy. So Judy, I'm looking forward to, but Knives Out, which actually seems, I don't know if it'll be good or not. I'm more just kind of curious to see how they do it because it's a star-studded cast. So it looks like basically a real life version of the game Clue. So I saw that. I've seen that preview twice now, and I'm like, is it going to be funny? Is it going to be entertaining? I don't know. But Chris Evans is in it, Daniel Craig's in it, Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, and Lakeith Stanfield. So a ton of people. So I'm like, you're paying for this cast. Please tell me that you put the same time and effort into the writing and directing. So we'll see. So I'm intrigued. So they have me. They're probably gonna get my money. It might only be $5, but they're gonna get my money. So.
What's October or?
That's a good question. I don't know. I can't remember the release date on that. So I believe it is this year. It's one of those they didn't put a lot of budget behind it to pump it out before. It's one of those hey, it's coming out next month and we're telling you about it now. So we'll see. I have to get the release date on that. But that's all I had. Do you have anything else?
No. I really appreciate the opportunity, Todd.
Absolutely.
Great time. Thanks again, and keep doing the great work that you're doing.
Appreciate it. You too. And if anyone else is wondering, Mr. B's episode was better than Maddie's. Maddie, if you're listening. And so. And we'll see how Sage does when I have him up here at some point.
Beautiful.
Until next time, everyone. Peace out.
Peace out.